All right, now we're going to talk about perhaps the most consequential news story of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I've been talking about for a while at this point because they were saying that this was going to eventually happen, and it's finally here. Trigger warning, bovine Bari Weiss, okay? How does she rise to such prominence? Brown-nosing incredibly wealthy billionaires and attacking all of the wealthy billionaires' critics. How else? How else do you get elevated to a position of prominence in mainstream media nowadays? She is identical to Ben Shapiro, except instead of trying to build an independent media franchise, she did the Ben Shapiro route on mainstream news, and she also had a lesbian background, so she weaponized that pretty hard. She very famously once said in I think it was in a Heritage Foundation seminar that she was talking at, where she said, look, here's the quote. I'm going to read it verbatim. I know that there are some people in this room who don't believe that my marriage should have been legal, Miss Weiss told the Federalist Society, an influential conservative legal group, in 2023. And that's okay, because we're all Americans who want lower taxes. And now this dipshit is placed directly in charge of CBS News with an artificially elevated status, once again, because she has sucked up to the incredibly wealthy billionaire class and also consistently defended Israel. David Ellison, Larry Ellison's son, purchased CBS and then moved on to purchase the Free Press. And in the process of purchasing Free Press, David Ellison artificially boosted the value of the Free Press, which many of you might recall is one of my ops, to $150 million. Now, does the Free Press actually have any significant output that is worthy of $150 million? Of course not. Timestamp PBS media, realizing that the Ellisons are buying up the media. Yeah, I like that this has been such an aggressive and egregious consolidation of media by the Ellison family that you even have PBS ringing the alarm bells, partially because I suspect that public broadcasting is also directly undermined and underfunded by the Trump administration.
Landscape here now, because when you look at the Ellison family here, right, you have Larry Ellison, the father of David Ellison, who's the founder of Oracle. He's a strong Trump supporter as well. He's also now among the investors in this newly configured American version of TikTok. The family's also aiming to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. This father-son duo now controls huge swaths of the media, both in social media and in Hollywood and on television. How does that change the landscape?
Yeah, these are the new media titans of our age. Like you said, they already control Paramount, which means they control CBS News, the Paramount Pictures studio, and now they are, to my...
Yeah, Paramount's also obviously releasing a October 7 flick tomorrow, right? I believe it's coming out tomorrow, if it hasn't come out yet. It's about October 7, 2023. Very obviously, they're just trying to quickly push pro-Israel narratives. Are you going to watch it on stream? Fuck no.
Understanding, according to sources, preparing a bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, which obviously has the Brothers studio, controls HBO Max, and also has CNN. And so what you could see soon is David Ellison and his son, Larry Ellison and his son, David Ellison, controlling a large part of how Americans absorb the information from around the world, the news, as well as entertainment. They could own TikTok, they could own Paramount, they could own Warner.
Now, Oliver Darcy is nailing it. Now, of course, they're not saying the quiet part out loud, which is that this is done not only to boost or try to launder Trump's reputation as long as Trump plays ball with the Ellisons, but also to launder the reputation of Israel. Okay? That is a huge component. Bari Weiss and the Ellisons are massive, rabid Zionists by their own admission. And the deal even took place, according to the Redstones, like the fact that 60 Minutes and CBS News was sold off to the Ellisons was specifically because the Redstones were frustrated, the previous owners were frustrated with how critical 60 Minutes was of Israel because of the one time that they covered what's going on in Gaza halfway decently, months after the fact, where they said American bombs are killing children in Gaza. New York Times' coverage does not mention this at all. Paramount buys the Free Press, ushering a new era at CBS News. Barry Weiss, the founder of the Free Press, will become editor-in-chief of CBS News. This is exactly what we are talking about when we say mainstream press is losing its credibility. I'm sorry. You mean to tell me there were 3 journalists, okay, 3 media reporters on the story, on the byline, and not a single one was even remotely curious about the self-admitted perspective of Sherry Redstone or the Ellisons or Barry Weiss on the 60 Minutes saga, or even on the self-described ultra-Zionist perspectives of all of the parties involved? Really? That's not even remotely interesting at a time when the leader of a foreign nation on U.S. soil openly talks about how wonderful it is that TikTok is now being sold to a pro-Israel billionaire and how important a weapon it is to control social media. For those that don't know, this is the impeccable journalism of Barry Weiss. Yeah. Twitch star Hasan Piker just received a glowing profile in the New York Times. He also calls Jews inbred, says it doesn't matter if rape occurred on October 7, and argues that Zionists should be treated like neo-Nazis. Now, this was my favorite article ever written about me, if we're being real, especially because most of the article actually revolves around how fucking hot I am. The handsome face of terror apologia. Paramount is about to pay $150 million for this. My favorite actress is not human. Tilly Norwood doesn't need a hairstylist, has no regrettable posts, and if you wish to see a virgin on screen, this is one of your better chances. That's because she's AI. This is an article for only one audience. This is not an article written for a real public interest. They are writing these articles to make billionaires who are invested in AI to think, oh, there is a real opportunity for propaganda here, and there's a real readership around articles such as this. It's not. You will never in a million fucking years find an average person in the real world who saw the AI Hollywood actress being unveiled and went, oh, that's awesome. I love that, actually. Yes, she sent a message as the new editor-in-chief of CBS News to all CBS News employees. Dear colleagues, I'm thrilled and humbled to be writing to you as the new editor-in-chief of CBS News. My goal in the coming days and weeks is to get to know you. I want to hear from you about what's working, what isn't, and your thoughts on how we can make CBS News the most trusted news organization in America and around the world. I'll approach it the way any reporter would, with an open mind, a fresh notebook, and an urgent deadline. Can you imagine if the reporters came up to her and were like, hey, a big part of the reason why we're losing our fucking our credibility is because people think we're like, serving the interests of a foreign nation state, Israel. And I think we could do a lot better reporting on that front and talk about the genocide openly. I assume she would probably fire those people, right? 3, journalism that respects our audience enough to tell the truth plainly, wherever it leads. 4, journalism that makes sense of a noisy, confusing world. Journalism that explains things clearly without presentation or jargon, or pretension and jargon. Journalism that holds both American political parties to equal scrutiny. Journalism that embraces a wide... Oh, you know what that means. Oh, I love that. It is very obvious what's taking place here. And yet, the media is once again dropping the ball. Perhaps it is on purpose. I know this is like seemingly so self-aggrandizing, too self-involved in the media narratives. A lot of people tune out when they hear this shit. But this is unimaginably important. Okay? This is unimaginably important. They are specifically targeting and eliminating any avenue of discontent. I know it sounds boring as fuck until it actually happens, until you start noticing the impact. But at that point, it'll be far too late. I fucking spent months and months of coverage on this shit. Nobody gave a fuck. Anyway, here are some several CBS News employees, by the way, spoke to a Guardian reporter, said they are in wait and see mode. One was more blunt. A throwing up emoji is not enough of a reflection of the feelings here. Let's watch the Prem video real quick, and then we'll get to that.
A very pro-Israel Republican and his son are on the brink of taking over a huge chunk of the media landscape, including TikTok, all at once. Meet Larry Ellison, the second richest man in the world. At a 2014 fundraiser packed with pro-Israel billionaires, Ellison said there is no greater honor than supporting the Israeli military. In 2017, he donated over $16 million to Friends of the IDF, the largest gift they had ever received. Under the deal, Weiss is reportedly set to become editor-in-chief of CBS News. Here's why this matters. The Free Press, again, is very pro-Israel, to the point that they recently published a story that seeks to discount the starvation conditions happening in Gaza.
Cha-ching. That'll be $150 million for that incredible coverage, the bold reporting, the boldness required to actively deny a genocide. How do we look at a crisis of credibility that is that every legacy publisher is facing in this moment? We bring in more overtly pro-Israel voices, and we say we're doing that specifically for this foreign nation state and their grand ambition to ethnically cleanse the population, the indigenous population that they have declared to be an aberration that must be forcibly excised from the land. Bari Weiss's big announcement of her move to Paramount and take over CBS News, made on the main YouTube channel, The Free Press, has a grand total of 16,000 views after 8 hours. The good news is that it's their most watched video since she interviewed the Mossad 2 weeks ago. Again, worth $150 million because it's not about actually reaching a broader audience. In her letter today, the CBS News editor-in-chief warns about the American loathing far left and its growing influence in politics and media. The irony, of course, is if Bari Weiss is worth $150 million, I'm worth $1 billion. Yeah, be on the lookout for the record for more fuck Hasan hit pieces coming from CBS News in the immediate future.